there's 5 specific matchups that might have a huge impact on the remainder of the college football season, which is why we're going to start with Ole Miss and LSU. This is a game and a matchup that's been very interesting of late. The home team has won 8 of the last 10 in the series, and of course, this year they are heading to Baton Rouge. Let's start with Ole Miss. They are the highest ranked team in the matchup itself. Right now, they have joined both Tennessee and Georgia among the 9 remaining unbeaten FBS teams. They are off to their first 7-0 start since 2014. Of course, that was vacated, but that season-opening win streak actually ended in Baton Rouge back in 2014. They lost that game 10-7. So they were off to an amazing start 7-8 years ago, 9 years ago, and then, of course, came up a little bit short on the road in the Bayou. Of course, that was still a pretty good year for Ole Miss. That's for sure, a two-year stretch where they were really off the charts good. So replicating that success is saying an awful lot. Let's talk a little bit about what Ole Miss does that makes them difficult to play against. They can run the dang football. They are 3rd in college football right now on the ground. The 2 teams in front of them are academies. Okay, Ole Miss can run the football. They call a run play more than 60% of the time. That's the highest rate in the Power 5 this year, and it's really no wonder that both Kansas State and Ole Miss are the only Power 5 teams this season with a pair of 500-yard rushers. All right, I referenced the fact that they're 3rd in college football running the football. They're averaging over 270 yards a game. They've obviously been very impressive. They also have the most touchdowns from running backs. That's at 24. Collectively, the top 3 rushers for Ole Miss are averaging nearly 6 yards a carry, so doesn't really matter who's getting it. Might be Zach Evans, might be Quinshon Judkins. Jackson Darts contributed some with his leg at the quarterback spot as well. So a very good rushing attack that a bunch of different people will kind of phase their way into the attack. Quinshon Judkins has been one of the biggest surprises of the college football season. He has 10 rushing touchdowns. It's most by the Rebel through 7 games in 30 years. He's a true freshman, y'all. And among the 37 FBS players with 100-plus carries this season, Ole Miss' Zach Evans ranks 7th and averaging over 6 yards a carry, and Judkins is right behind him at 6 yards per carry. So 6.1 for Evans, 6 for Judkins. Only a pair of service academies, Air Force and Army, have rushed for more yards per game this season. So we're looking at a really impressive offensive attack that's going to try to run the football. But when you can run the ball that efficiently, what does that open up? The passing game downfield. So Jackson Dart's going to launch it. That's what they do. They're off play action. Your whole defensive plan against Ole Miss is to stop the run, stop the run, stop the run. So when you're selling out against the run, that's going to open up some plays downfield. Jackson Dart right now is going to drive it downfield. And if you look at what they did last week, I think it's going to be very interesting if they can carry over some of that momentum. Rush for nearly 450 last week against Auburn. That's a pretty decent defense, at least in some ways. So you look at this performance, I think it's going to be tough for LSU to corral. So they might have to score some points alongside like Auburn did last week. The good thing is LSU's been pretty good offensively. If you look at Jaden Daniels, he's completing nearly 70% of his passes, has over 1,500 yards throwing it, 10 touchdowns against just 1 interception, and he's accounting for pretty much everything on this offense. I mean, it kind of all runs through him. He's got 33% of the rushing yards, 35% of the rushing attempts, and 32% of the rushing touchdowns. So if you look at, yes, of course, he's going to account for everything through the air as well, but Jaden Daniels is a guy that's going to absolutely be a huge factor in the game. What does it come down to? We're going to find out. We're really going to find out. But here's a few things. One, Ole Miss has not been on the road yet this year. Okay, I know they have. But Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, are those road environments that you're going to consider hostile? They haven't necessarily been on the road just yet this year. And you got to wonder, things really didn't look very good for them defensively last week. And I think Ole Miss, their defense still has some legitimate question marks. I think this game's a toss-up. I could see it going one direction or the other. I lean slightly in favor of Ole Miss, but really, really slight. I think it's going to be a heck of a game down there on the Bayou.
If Ole Miss wins this one, do we start really looking at them as a possible playoff team?
No, because they're through this one. I'm not sure like nationally anyone really views LSU. I mean, think about it. Tennessee just now got considered a playoff team, right? Took beating Alabama to get there. They smoked LSU the week before, and no, I don't think anyone was talking about them as a playoff team just yet. So no, I don't think they're there just yet. Of course, beating Alabama, I think, would welcome them to that conversation, and they're going to have their shot, obviously, a few weeks from now.